It was one of those evenings where the sky seemed determined to cry until it emptied every last cloud. Rain poured down in silver sheets, drumming on rooftops, splashing on sidewalks, and trickling into the city drains. Street lights flickered against the mist, turning the wet roads into rivers of reflected gold. At the bus stop, a line of weary people stood under the leaky shelter, each person lost in their own thoughts. Some tapped their feet impatiently, others clutched their phones, and a few just stared blankly at the rain. When the familiar squeal of brakes echoed and the bus hissed to a stop, relief washed over the crowd. The doors opened with a creak, and the wave of passengers surged forward. Umbrellas folded, coats dripped, and the damp smell of rain followed them in. Inside, the bus was already crowded. People stood shoulder to shoulder, gripping metal poles, their breaths fogging up the windows. The driver muttered something about "just move in, plenty of room at the back," though everyone knew there wasn't. And then, at the farthest corner, past all the chatter and shuffling, there it was. The last seat. One empty spot, waiting like a hidden treasure. Eyes noticed it immediately. A businessman with a briefcase, his glasses misty, glanced toward it. A teenager with headphones paused his music just long enough to consider darting for it. And a tired mother with a baby strapped to her chest sighed, wishing she could collapse there. But before anyone could move, two figures began making their way toward it at the same time. One was an old man, his shoulders hunched beneath a rain-soaked coat. His hair was silver, his hands shaking slightly as he leaned on a wooden cane. Every step seemed to cost him a little strength, and yet he pressed on, eyes locked on that one small comfort waiting at the back. The other was a boy, no older than 12. His sneakers squeaked against the wet floor as he hurried through the crowd, his backpack bouncing with each step. He had been standing all day, first at school, then waiting in the long bus line, and his small body longed for rest. His eyes, too, were fixed on that single seat. And so, at the very same moment, the boy and the old man reached the space. The boy's hand twitched forward, ready to drop his bag and sink into comfort. But then, he looked up. He saw the deep lines on the old man's face, the weariness in his eyes, the tremble in his grip on the cane. The boy froze. A memory stirred within him. He remembered his grandmother, her gentle smile, the way she always said, "Kindness is never wasted. It always comes back to you, even if you don't see it." Slowly, the boy drew his hand back. He took a step aside, pressing his backpack against his chest. His voice, small but clear, rose above the murmur of the bus. "Please, sir, you can take it." The old man paused, surprised. His tired eyes softened, and for a moment, something like pride flickered there. With a grateful smile, he lowered himself onto the seat, his knees bending with relief. But the story didn't end there. The boy stood silently, gripping the pole beside him. Passengers nearby had witnessed the exchange. Some looked away quickly, embarrassed by their own hesitation. Others smiled faintly, touched by the boy's choice. And then, from the middle of the bus, a voice called out, "Young man, over here." It was a nurse, her scrubs wrinkled from a long shift, her hair tucked under a damp cap. She looked exhausted herself, but she was already rising from her seat. She motioned for the boy to take her place. The boy blinked, startled. "But, you must be tired too," he said. The nurse smiled. "Maybe. But tiredness is lighter when shared. Go on, sit." Hesitantly, the boy slipped into the seat she had offered. His backpack rested on his lap, but what he carried now was more than books. It was the quiet warmth of being part of something bigger, a circle of kindness that had started with him and spread outward. The bus rumbled on through the rain, but inside, a subtle change had happened. The atmosphere felt softer. Passengers who had been frowning now looked thoughtful. Someone reached out to help an older woman steady herself. Another shifted to give more space to the mother with her baby. Small gestures, almost invisible, but linked together like beads on a string. The old man closed his eyes and breathed deeply, resting in the seat he had been given. The nurse leaned against a pole, her tired body swaying with the movement of the bus, but her smile lingered. And the boy? He sat quietly, heart pounding with a strange new understanding. That night, on a crowded bus in the middle of a rain-soaked city, strangers discovered something extraordinary. That one act of kindness can multiply, filling even the most crowded space with room for compassion. Because sometimes, the smallest choice, to give up a seat, to share a smile, to notice another person's need, becomes the spark that lights the whole bus, the whole city, the whole world. And as we come to the end of this story, don't forget, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done if it were you on that bus? Remember, every seat you give up, every kindness you share, leaves a mark that travels farther than you'll ever know.